All right, AAMA and the Black Women Marketers. And those of you who are not a part of either group, thank you for joining us. So today we are going to be covering the creative flow, managing scope creep, and feedback loops in design. Today we are joined by the Black Women Marketers, but let's talk about a little bit about AAMA. So the African American Marketing Association is a 501(c) formed in 2019 to educate, empower, and elevate Black marketers, creatives, and entrepreneurs. We accomplish this through programming like this, community building, and access to opportunities across the marketing and creative industries. Today's program is focused on the business of design, but specifically, we're going to focus on how to properly manage your client relationships and contracted scope of work. Our host for today is Jasmine Gibson, the co-founder of Black Women Marketers. Jasmine is a marketing strategist and keynote speaker with over 10 years of experience designing marketing strategy, brand development, and marketing operations for mission-driven organizations. For more than 8 years, she has delivered talks, workshops that challenge leaders to use marketing as a tool for equity, influence, and measurable social impact. She is the founder of Black Women Marketers, a global community with over 1,400 Black women across 18 countries in 34 US states, reaching over 120,000 women through marketing, programming, and digital campaigns. Through this platform, Jasmine co-founded MKTR Hub, Marketing Hub, a conference for marketing and communication professionals that has served over 200 plus attendees and continues to expand access to skill building, career advancement, and community. Across her career, Jasmine has led more than 30 marketing, y'all looking me in the way, but she's led the campaigns at the intersection of marketing and social justice. I want to say it was the last word. But let me bring the host up the stage. I'm tired of talking, y'all. This is not my event. This is theirs. All right. So, Jazz, thank you for having us. I'm about to leave, okay?
You are so fine. Isaiah, thank you for joining in and introducing us. Y'all, it is such a pleasure to be here. I am Jasmine Gibson, like Isaiah mentioned. I am a marketing strategist, a brand strategist, and a keynote speaker. And I've been in the industry for almost 12 years now. Oh my God, I'm aging myself. I'm going to go ahead and bring up our panelists today. We're starting first and foremost with Nikita M. Pope, and Nikita is the chief chick and brand strategist over at Branding Chicks. It's a boutique branding agency. I'm really excited for Nikita to be joining us because she does bring with us over 25 plus years of experience in brand development and strategy for creative design. So Nikita, welcome. Say hello to everyone. Nikita on mute.
Sorry about that. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Jasmine, for that wonderful intro.
Yes, of course. And at the end, we will definitely make sure that you are all able to connect with all of our speakers today. So next up is Jessica Cole. Jessica is a founder of JC Creative Studio, and really excited for Jessica to share her experience. She's been an entrepreneur now for about 8+ years. And I think what's really awesome about Jessica that we want her to brag more about is contributing. Her clients, y'all, are so awesome, but helping them contribute to over $1 million in collective revenue is really something that we honor, Jessica, and we know that you know your stuff. So we are grateful to be joined by you and Nikita today. Jessica, say hello to everyone, and we will bring up our last panelist. Jessica's on mute too. All right, you know what?
We all struggling.
Y'all not ready to talk yet.
No, thank you for the introduction. Glad to be here. Can't wait. It's gonna be a good conversation.
It is definitely going to be a great conversation. All right, and last but not least, this person is very dear to my heart. She is not only one of the most amazing women that I have met, but she is also one of my closest and best friends, Jasmine M. I will call her Jazz M because in the Black Women Marketers community, we are Jazz G and Jazz M. So I will refer to her as Jazz M because that is how I know her. Jazz is a absolutely amazing operational and marketing systems strategist. Right now, she is joining us with just about 10 years of experience. I have met her in the beginning of her marketing creative design journey, and to watch her blossom into who she is now is really awesome and fantastic. She also is a co-founder of Black Women Marketers, joining me, and she is a co-founder of Marketer Hub. So Marketer Hub is a marketing conference that is in the DMV, or this year is in Baltimore. I don't have time for y'all to be debating if Baltimore is in the DMV or not. It is not, okay? It's not in the DMV. We don't want to be there, but we are a part of Maryland. Let's move on, all right? All right. But Jazz is the co-founder there with Marketer Hub, and our conference is coming up April the 23rd through the 25th. So we hope you all are able to join us there. A special thank you to the AAMA team for bringing us all together. All right, I'm going to give y'all some disclosures. We laugh a lot, okay? This is the group that laughs a lot. We are going to be key, but we're about to get into the good stuff. So if you have any questions, let us know. I hope this conversation is truly fruitful. It is my honor to moderate it and host it today with such amazing people who I believe are going to drop some awesome and dope gems for you today. And again, we are about to laugh, but we're about to talk about what it really means to get into creative design work, creative strategy, even content development, which is considered creative work also. And what we are aiming to do today is really bring out how we can do better as organization owners, as freelancers, as strategists, to be able to actually say, how can I do this work better? And how can I make sure that these clients do not give me a headache? And the thing is, they will always give you a headache. But we are working through how to still maintain great relationships, even when someone is giving us a headache. So, ladies, are y'all ready? We are definitely about to jump straight in. And I've told y'all this already, but I want to jump straight into the immediate stuff. Oftentimes, we are working with clients, especially when it comes to creative work, and we start talking and we're like, 1 minute it's a quick favor, 1 minute it's someone saying like, hey, can you just make an edit? Hey, can you adjust this? And next thing you know, you're in like a feedback loop, and people are just slowly but surely creeping up on that scope of work. And you're like, I want to still be a great person to support you, but I also need you to respect that boundary. For you ladies, what has been helpful in placing some boundaries down for clients when it comes to revisions and when it comes to them making changes or adjustments to, you know, what they are looking for? Like, it's our goal to make sure that we hit them correctly with what they are asking for, but making sure they're not in that scope creep. So what does it look like for you?
So for me, because, you know, when you first start out, that can get hectic. And you're really trying to make sure that, you want to keep this client. But I noticed that defining what edits are in the contract, so they know, okay, this is an edit, this is a complete, vision change. And really defining what that is, and also telling them, hey, for this project, you get this, this amount of edits. Anything over that, there will be an extra charge. So, that kind of makes them, okay, let me go through everything, because sometimes they'll just look at it one time, they see one edit, and then they send it back. They're not looking at the full document. So I definitely think outlining that for them so they kind of understand, what is an edit? Because sometimes, you don't really know when it's an edit versus when you're changing the complete vision of the design.
Jessica, do you think that there's a way to identify when someone is changing the vision of what they originally hired you to do versus when they are just like making a couple of edits and kind of figuring it out as they go along?
So I would say yes. I make sure that my clients give very good detail and they understand, and I understand what they're looking for before I even start. And so we kind of agree baseline on that. And then after that, say we've gone through maybe 2 edits, and then they hit you with the, I don't really, it's not really looking the way that I thought, can we try something else? At that point, we're getting into, this is a complete, vision change. We're no longer heading in the right direction So now we're out of scope. So I think it's really being transparent and defining what everything is and making it clear, like, hey, this is where we're at, right? And so doing it like that.
Okay, Nikita, how about for you?
Similar. In my contract, I define what the edits are, and usually I do them by round, so they get 2 rounds of edits, meaning that it's not like one little change doesn't consider an edit, but like a round of changes, like you reviewed it, and whatever changes you got from that is a round of changes. Usually I include about 2 per project. But I have a very collaborative process with my client, so I'm constantly in the feedback loop. Like, that's so much better for me than to wait until the end of like a whole lot of work and then get feedback. So I try to do that. But it also states in my contract that if we're past a certain amount of changes, then now, because I usually charge by the project. So past that, then they either need a new contract for additional work, or it means that they are going to have to pay an hourly rate for those additional changes. So it just kind of depends. You can kind of decide in the moment, which way you want to go, but the contract makes sure that it's spelled out so it's covered no matter what.
Okay. And so then for you ladies, I then have another follow-up question, because Jessica and Nikita, that was definitely great insight of what the process can look like. When it comes to your contracts, do you add anything into your contracts that, you feel is like, hey, let's help with people who are not respecting boundaries? Jazz M, definitely chime in here also. But is there something that you've added into your contracts that you felt has been incredibly helpful to respect your boundaries and still keep the process collaborative, right? As we joke often about like these clients getting on my nerves, etc. The goal is that they may be getting on our nerves, but we do enjoy our clients, right? Like, it's just like a partner that might be getting on your nerves, but you still enjoy the person. You're just like, I need to find a way to make this work. And so is there anything that you all have added to your contracts from an experience you've had that was like, you know what? This needs to be added because I didn't calculate this when I first started? I think Jazz M's coming off of mute. Look, you was almost there.
There you go.
Does that work? Am I back?
Yeah, there you go.
I'm sorry. Well, one thing I did, I actually have a full feedback in section in my contract. So basically what that does is I outline the response time, what it looks like to give feedback, and how it can reset the project if those boundaries are not met. And I also have templates in my emails that I send out if the client goes outside of those bounds. So I outline everything in my contract as well as my office hours. So sometimes clients like to email us at all times of hours. So I say, hey, this is when I respond. So if they respond outside of that, all of that's outlined in the contract of, hey, I will not be responding. This is what happens if you have so many incidents. So just know that I reserve the right to cancel this contract if it becomes a reoccurrence or a problem, just to protect my peace and to make it fruitful and a collaboration, not more of I'm not your employee, but we are collaborating on this project together.
That's good.
And to piggyback off that, I have a clause in there about the last line she just said about being a contractor versus an employee, and what those boundaries are, and also outlining what is needed from the client to complete this project, what the things that I need from them, because sometimes you don't get the things that you need, and that can stall the project heavily. So making sure that they understand, hey, I need this, and this from you by this time, this date, so we can move on and move to the next part of the project.
I like this. A really great start to a conversation that I'm really excited that we are actually having. One thing that I want to be mindful of is we talk jokingly about clients consistently, but sometimes clients do not know that they are in feedback loops or in scope creep. They actually just think that this process is supposed to work a certain way. And so I think what you all are talking about is being incredibly communicative in the upfront part of the process, whether that's onboarding, whether that's in your contracts, to cover yourselves. But one area that I do think has always been really helpful, and in part of my experience also, is receiving and giving feedback. And so some people don't know how to receive feedback or to give feedback. I think, Jessica, when you were talking a little bit about, when people are like, oh, how to keep the vision intact. Sometimes people, might start with the vision, because that's what creativity is. We start with the vision and then it shifts. And unfortunately, sometimes it shifts while we're in the hiring process or while we're in the project. And so when that happens, I would just say, is there anything, I would ask, I should say, is there anything that you all find really helpful in terms of giving and receiving feedback, so that people do understand, like, hey, this is when we know that the vision is shifting, or this is when we know that, like, hey, your feedback isn't helpful. Like, one thing I would just point out, right, is don't tell me that a design is ugly. Okay, so now what? Now what? Like, if I told you your outfit was ugly, now what? What are we gonna do about it? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, now what? So when you guys are going through, like, giving feedback or receiving it, what does that kind of look like? And what have you found to be, like, really helpful in giving or receiving feedback from clients, so that they are still respecting your boundaries and you all are still building that collaborative process?
I know for me, sorry, Nikita.
No, go ahead.
I know for me, I had to learn how I like to receive feedback and what I needed to move the project forward. And that's for any type of creative process, whether that's social media, content, design, web design, branding. I had to know what I needed. So once I learned that, I actually created templates for all of my different services. So now when I request feedback from each client, I give them that template to fill out. So each template says, hey, this is what bad feedback looks like, and this is what helpful feedback looks like. And then, like, for example, web design, it gives them the layout of all of the pages. And then it says, like, what do y'all need from you? What do you like? What don't you like? What are some notes for me? So I give them templates for any type of feedback I request. And that has made it very, very helpful for them, because now they know, like, oh, I need to look at all of these things. They might just look at the font, like, oh, I don't like that font. Okay, aside from the font, what else? Like think about how the font plays into accessibility, how it's going in your branding. Like, hey, these fonts actually are the fonts that's in your logo. So if you don't like this font, then you might not actually like your logo. So we need to go back to square A. So giving them an actual template to follow and help them guide them through the process of feedback has been really helpful for my clients.
I hate to chime in, because y'all know hosts not supposed to talk. It's supposed to be about the speakers. But let me tell you something, Jazz, that is so good. Okay. That is, a lot of times people do not understand that process, and they do need to understand that. All right, Nikita, you are up.
Well, one of the things I was going to say is, to Jazz's point, like, so much of this process is about education. And I think once you understand that you're just going to have to educate people about some things, most people have never worked with a professional creative before, or if they have, they may or may not have had a good experience. So sometimes just being able to set those expectations up front saves you a lot of headache. So when it comes to feedback, for me, one of the things that is most important is, before I start any project, I need to know who the decision makers are. Ooh. Like, who gets to say yes or no or sign off on this? It cannot be 10 people. Who gets the final say, right? And so then I know who I'm actually talking to. And I make sure that if there is 10 people that have to chime in, then we need them all on the call, or they all need to have a conversation, and then they come to me. So I think that helps a lot. I also build in the feedback time in my production schedule. So when I send them the schedule, they see what my milestones are and what my deliverables are and when they're going to get them. But they also know when that feedback is due back to me, because I often find that, well, in the beginning, I used to find that if a project went off the rails in terms of timing, like, they would immediately blame you, right? But if I have those milestones set in, and it's like, you owed this on this day, I owed that on this day, and we can see where it went off track, and it might have been you. So that always helps. And I ask a lot of questions during the feedback loop. I try not to send many things via email to get feedback from. I prefer to set up a call and have a conversation. because then it cuts out some of that. They're only focusing on one thing. I get to ask more questions like, okay, well, what is it that you don't like about that? Is there something else that you feel like is stronger from another brand? You know, do you really like a certain color palette from there or something else? But it gives me an opportunity to have the conversation. And because I'm a strategist, started as a designer, but strategy is always at the forefront. I'm always reminding them of the strategy that's already in place, so they know that they are not sometimes they're not the audience. So you don't like yellow, I respect that, but you're not the audience.
You're not who we're actually looking at. I know for me, another one that is a pet peeve, and this is just me venting in the middle of this. You know, when someone is like, the colors or the language isn't reflective of the brand, and you're like, I pulled this from your website.
I've definitely had that happen before.
I pulled this from your website, like verbatim, word for word. Let me show you the page. Right here, you know what I mean? So do we agree that this means that there's a, you know, a little bit of a challenge here, and a little bit of tension? And, you know, I always know clients that we are working with that I am definitely really funny and open and collaborative, but I'm also like, if we see this gap, then we want to make sure that we cover the gap, because your site says one thing. And so what we're communicating to our designers has to be what the site says. There has to be some brand content here.
Right.
So that is really important. But something you all are mentioning, feedback and the feedback loop and receiving feedback. What does constructive criticism actually look like? So if I'm a client and I come to you and I'm like, hey, this is, you know, we're not saying ugly. Like, we all have agreed ugly won't work. We also are all in agreement that we are not doing glitter. It is 2020. We have done this already.
Make it pop.
No, make it pops. Okay. Please help me. Let's give people some real insight into what constructive criticism look like. Jessica, I will start with you because you said make it pop. What does make it pop usually translate to in design terms, which is what someone is trying to say?
You know, it really depends. You really don't know a lot of the times, because, you know, to me, it's just like, you know, make it stand out. Maybe I think if that's what they're saying. I'm not 100% sure, because it can be different. Sometimes it's the colors is the pop, the different colors. So in terms of, you know, if you feel like it's a make it pop, be a little bit more descriptive. You know, hey, I like the layout. I like the way it looks. I'm not fond of the colors. You know, maybe the pictures or anything like that. You know, getting just a lot more information out of them is what will help. Just to make it pop. I don't know, because I thought it was popping to me, so I'm not sure.
When I produced it, I thought we was
right,
and I thought this is my best work, and now you telling me that my work is popping. So you know, how does that work?
Yeah.
Okay.
I sometimes find that they wanted to make them feel a certain way, and it's not making them feel that way or evoking that emotion. And I always ask, is this what your client should feel when they look at it, or are you wanting to feel this because this is your baby, this is your brand, and you feel a certain way about it? And then like, well, I want to because I want them to feel it, but that's okay. You're selling a lip gloss. It does not need to invoke a civil rights movement. So what are we going to do here to make them want to buy it instead of them trying to go out and start a civil rights movement? So I think you got to ask those again, like Nikita said, educating them and guiding them on that process and helping them get to that end point. Like, make it pop does not help me, because I can make it pop and I might add a little star there. It's popping now. Right. So what else are we going to do for it? You know?
Yeah, I think you made a good point about educating them and having clients understand that, you know, we're trying to market to your ideal client or your ideal target audience, not necessarily you as the client. So, you know, some things might change based on, you know, how you feel emotionally.
Yeah. I said this before, but I think if a client really can't articulate what they mean, I usually ask them to pull some examples for me. Like, is there another brand that you feel like really pops? Or, you know, is there another brand that you love the messaging or you love the color palette? Like, and I usually can kind of pull out from there what it is that they're trying to say. Because sometimes they just don't know how to articulate that, but it's very clear to them. They just can't figure out how to describe it to you.
Examples.
Yeah, that's a great way. All right, so we are all women. People will call us emotional. They will say all types of things about us, whatever. We're not here to debate that today. What we are here to say, though, is that when we are receiving feedback, we are human. And so when you are receiving feedback, sometimes you can, especially when it's designed because it's your artwork, it's your creative piece. Even if we're talking about content development, a reel, graphic, or whatever that might look like, anytime we're in that creative process, how are you guys handling receiving this feedback without it translating to your confidence in the work that you are doing?
Great question.
So for me, as a young designer, you're very connected to your work and it's your baby. But as I've grown, at the end of the day, it's really what they want. You can advise as much as your expertise allows, but at the end of the day, it's theirs. I'm not, I kind of disconnect from it in terms of this is not mine. I don't have ownership over this, and it allows, whatever, you can accept any type of criticism or not criticism, changes, updates, or anything like that. Even if, you feel like it's fine, they want to change stuff, or, you advise them on why, this is the best option. This depends.
Yeah. Have you all had situations or circumstances where you had to take a step back for a while because you felt like it was starting to impact your confidence when it came to your work? And what did you do about that?
I definitely have early. Sorry, Jazz.
Nikita, let's take us there. Jazz, you next.
Okay. I definitely have early on, to Jessica's point, like over the years, I've, found ways to separate myself from the work. Because I'm a professor as well. So even in my feedback language, it's always, does this work or does it not work? Based on what was your goal? What was your objective? Who's your audience? And so then it's not about whether I like it or even whether you like it. It's like, does it work for what it is that you're trying to do? Right. So even as I talk to my clients about it that way, then I find that subconsciously they start changing their language to that. And so then they are asking themselves that question, like, is it that I don't like it or that it doesn't work? Right. Because those are two different questions and they might have two different answers. Right. So if something doesn't work, then I look at it as a strategic problem. Like it's a problem to solve. It's not about whether they liked it or didn't like it. It just doesn't work for what we both said that we're trying to do. So then I'm just trying to find the right puzzle pieces to put together so that it does work. And that keeps me out of my head too, from being like, well, they don't like it. I put all my heart into it. Even if I did, then I'm not looking at it that way when they give me the feedback. Now, if they're just off the rails, then sometimes I'm frustrated just because of the way that they're looking at it, but not necessarily because of the feedback.
Jazz, take us away. Nikita, that was really great.
I think in the beginning, I was trying to prove that you hired me. So if you're giving me feedback of something that's wrong, then I'm doing something wrong. But like Nikita said, it wasn't that. It was, hey, I'm trying to solve a problem. So I think it's almost there, but I'm not quite sure what the problem is. So once I was able to separate, like, it's not me, it's this specific problem that I'm trying to solve, and then we're almost there. And I hired you for your expertise, and it's like, oh, I still have those expertise, so it's not me. Let's just separate. So once I got that, and that imposter syndrome took a back seat, I was like, okay, well, okay, if you don't like it, why don't you like it? I started learning the right questions to ask. So before I used to get really down on myself, like really sad, like, oh my God, like I suck at this. But now I'm like, okay, well, what's next? Like, what don't you like? What's the next step? Do we need to start all the way back over? And it's usually like, oh no, it's like this one or two things. And then when they go through and they explain it, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And it might be I didn't ask that question at first, or they thought about it after they seen what I originally saw, and the product that I gave them sparked something else. So I actually helped them get to the next step. So once I started looking at it like that, it's been easier to take that feedback.
I love this. You guys are definitely giving the audience so many real insights into what this process looks like and how to navigate it, especially if you are a new designer or a new freelancer, or if you're in the content development rut, right? Where you're in that space and you're like, all right, I'm tired of doing this because y'all all keep saying my stuff sucks. And that's not true. Like the stuff does not suck. It just might not be aligned to whatever the design scope of work is or the vision is. And so a reminder not to take this feedback personal and constructive criticism personal. But if you are a client, if you are part of a leadership team and you are giving feedback, making sure your criticism is actually constructive and not hurtful. And remembering that when we talk about constructive criticism and constructive feedback, constructive means that it is not personal. That it shouldn't be that like you did this, but instead that like this doesn't align. So switching from you to the project. Something that I also want to talk to you ladies about today, as we talk about scope creep, we talked a little bit about feedback loops. We talked about, making sure your identity is not in your work. I also want to cover the creative process and what it looks like as creative designers, freelancers, content developers, and building out processes that actually support the clients that you are working with. So is there anything that you all would say has been incredibly helpful in being able to build and work with your clients without, feeling like all of this sucks? I'm in a rut. I don't want to create right now, but I have to keep creating. Has there been a process or a system or even a tool or a resource that has been really helpful for you all when you said, you know what, design is not instantaneous? Sometimes creativity work is not instant. You can't just go. You can't just do it. Sometimes it requires, some structure. Sometimes it requires you to like get out into nature and refill. What do those processes, tools, resources, etc. look like for you whenever you are in such a rut that you're like, I'm trying to deliver, I'm trying to hit this deadline with you, but I am in a rut right now?
I have a couple things. So one is, and I always tell people this when they ask me this question, like it's different for everybody, but it really helps to like really be self-aware, to pay attention to yourself and your own creative process. Like for me, I love the research part. Like that gets me going. I get excited about a project when I start the research part. But if I get stuck, then it took me years to figure this out. But I finally got to a point where I realized that if I got stuck, then that was the part of the process I needed to go back to. So if I go back to research, sometimes just one more piece of information or one more visual reference breaks the whole thing open. And because I really like that stage, it actually doesn't feel like I'm going backwards. It just feels like I'm revisiting that. And usually something in that process will get me fired up or connect the dots somehow and I can move forward. The other thing is, like you said, take a walk in nature. You got to be able to build time in to step away from things. I think, I don't remember all the scientific part of it, but basically our brains need time to solve problems in the background. So if you're always in front of it and trying to solve the problem, it doesn't have time to marinate on it. That's why we have the best ideas while we're driving or in the shower or whatever. You have to focus on something else. And then your brain's like back there trying to figure it all out for you. But you have to have that time to step away. Otherwise, you never get to like the best way to solve the problem sometimes. And then collaborating with people. Like I call for help all the time. My friend Jordan is actually in the comments talking right now. And sometimes she's the person I call when I'm like, I'm stuck. This is what I'm trying to do. This thing is due at 2:00. So sometimes just talking it out with somebody else also helps, but I am never afraid to phone a friend.
I love that. Jazz?
I take my time. So my end of day is 11:59 p.m. So do not expect anything ever at 5 p.m. from me. So I have learned, and it's very hard for me, Jazz, you will tell you, but I have learned to build rest into my processes now. So even if a client is like, oh, we need this in 4 weeks, I could probably do it in 2. I'm going to use that whole full 4 weeks because 2 of those weeks I'm probably going to need some rest, or I'm going to need time to just maybe not be myself because something else is going on. So build rest into your processes for those days where you don't have 100%. I was someone who tried to give 100% all the time, and you don't have it all the time, unfortunately, especially if you're multifaceted and you do a whole bunch of different things, and I do a whole lot of things. So I had to learn how to manage my time a little bit better and understand, like, okay, you can only do one thing at a time. So once I started building that rest into my processes, it gives me more breathing room to where I can say, like, oh, I actually don't have to work on this today because I actually have more time for myself.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, I had to understand myself and noticing that creatively I work better at night. And so and so some projects have to get done, from 10 to 2 a.m. or something like that. And really understanding that, from 9 a.m. to 4, my brain might not be processing creatively at that point. So I'm doing more administrative tasks during those times or something like that. And then also with taking the breaks, going outside, going out on the balcony, you're just constantly thinking about it, but you might not actually be working on it in that time. And also, everything doesn't have to be done all in one day. You may do research on Monday, but then you actually start the creative process on Thursday or something like that. And that's okay. That's kind of what I had to learn about myself.
Yeah, taking your time, making sure that you put in some rest for your brain. Like your body has to go into a rest mode. There has to be a work-life balance. I'm an advocate for work-life balance. You won't hear me in the hustle culture. That's not for me at all. I do appreciate hard working. I do believe giving it my all, being integral, getting things done. But baby, y'all ain't about to stress your girl out, okay? I'm not even going to pretend that you finna stress me out. Not going to happen. Something that I also think is really important that someone shared with me before when it came to this process and when you're in your rut, especially when clients are asking for things in emergencies. How can I say this, y'all, kindly? I'm not a doctor. I'm not a firefighter. I'm not a police officer.
Define emergency.
I am not in no way, shape, or form your emergency support. I am not the emergency contact for this. And so I think something that was really helpful for me is understanding what is a emergency and what am I deeming emergent. Right. And so it's not an emergency. This work is not an emergency. It is fruitful work. It is dependable work. It is work that matters. But that does not mean that I am, on call for it. And so that has been something that has been really helpful. Something else that has also been helpful, and I want to know from you three if you've also found this helpful, but having accountability partners. Nikita, you mentioned it a little bit. But accountability partners or co-working, I think before we talked a little bit, I've always shared that I've been neurodivergent with ADHD. And so, has accountability partners helped any of you? I know for those that are neurodivergent, it's definitely helpful, but, having a body double.
Yes, I've had my agency for 12 years. When I first started, I had a couple other girlfriends that were starting businesses as well. And I promise you, in those first few years, if it weren't for them, branding chicks would not be a thing. Okay. Because I needed somebody who understood. Like, my friends and my family are amazing and they're supportive. But if you're not in the trenches trying to do this thing too, or haven't done it before, you understand it in a really different way. So I needed the person that I could pick up the phone and call and say, listen, today is one of those days. I'm about to be done with all this and go work at Popeyes. Okay. Thank you.
My favorite line is quitting, but I'm the boss. So I'll be back tomorrow.
So yeah, accountability partners are always helpful for me. Mentors, always, a thing. And then just people that I know have really good perspectives on things, that they can see things that I can't see. I love having conversations with people like that because, tell me what I don't know all day, every day. Right. So that always is a really good thing for me. And you need to have that you need to feel like you have a team, even if you don't have a team. Like I work by myself unless I build a team specifically for a project. And I love those moments because I get to collaborate with people. But some of my projects, it's just me. So I need to have like my team on the bench, even though I don't necessarily have a team that's actively working on that project.
Nikita, I don't think I've ever had a project where it was just me, child. It's always multi-level approvals, multiple stakeholders, and that I don't know. You're saying it in a different route. I'm like, girl, I might enjoy a day where it's just me designing. Gotta ask for nothing. Like, okay, we can get into it. You telling me nobody tell you nothing? You got to go searching for people to tell you stuff.
Well, the clients are always involved, but
that is something that I will tell you is such a blessing in disguise. Pros and cons for both, obviously, but when you have multi-level approvals, it is completely different.
It is.
Any thoughts, Jessica or Jazz?
I would say I agree with everything that Nikita said. Definitely having friends in the industry that understand your struggle. I have friends where I'm like, hey, I need to finish this. We about to do a co-working session. I'm gonna meet you at 10 o'clock at this coffee shop. I need to get it done.
Yep.
So, yeah. I think it's the same for me. I love my friends in real life. I love them down, but baby, they don't understand my brain. They were like, oh girl, you got it. That's not what I need to hear. I need you to let me crash out for just 5 minutes. Exactly. Please let me crash out about this client. Like, and I have to call into my online community, but like, let me tell you what this client did, and they understand. I get it out, and then it's game time. So I definitely got to have that community that understands what you're going through and why your mind is working the way it's working, so you can let it out and then get back to it.
That crash out is so real because I'm like, let me crash out. I'm gonna get it done. Just let me.
Right, but I need to crash out first.
Like, please allow this is a part of my process. Like at this point, this is a part of my development process. I need to crash out. Okay, when it comes to communication, because we've talked a lot about different ways that we want to receive it and talk through it, but there are so many freelancers that may be listening, or agency owners, or people who are like me. We manage multiple teams and we have multiple people under us where we're consistently having to give feedback, etc. And we talk about communication. For me, I'm interested in hearing from you all. When you're talking about communication, how much is too much talking with these folks, right? With your clients, with the team, etc. Like, how much is too much? I'm also hoping my team listening.
Don't talk to me at all.
See what I mean?
I'm good. It's in the email. Like, I'm good on talking. Like, you already told me what you want. Like, please don't talk to me. Like, we don't have to get on a call every day. Like, you want to be every week. Why? We got milestones. I promise you, we do not have to talk every single day.
Okay. As someone that manages, I'm like, I don't want to talk to y'all every day, but I do need y'all to make sure you hit your milestones. That's because what I don't want to have to do is micromanage a project. And sometimes you're forced into micromanagement because of the missed delays. And so the missed deadlines, I should say, or the delays, or, a lack of emphasis or lack of communication. So when I ask you guys, like, how much communication is too much with your clients? How much of it, is taking away from the actual work?
To Jazz M's point, like, one of the things when she talked about giving herself time in the production schedule, like, I put all the meetings in the production schedule as well. So generally speaking, if it's just me and a client, I tend to meet with them every other week. And if I have a team on it, then I meet with them in the weeks in between, right? But I build it so that, like, that you're not going to get any updates for 2 weeks, for the most part. Unless there's something else you want to tell me or whatever, but I'm in communication with them regularly so that they know that I'm still here. I'm still working on it. I didn't drop off the face of the earth. And you have the production schedule, so you know what to expect when. I find that sometimes when clients are like wanting to talk all the time, it's because either they're really excited, which is a good thing, but you have to harness it, or they're in a place where they don't really trust you because there's too much silence in between, right?
Right.
So as long as they hear from me, then they're like, oh, okay, well, it's good. I'll talk to her then. And they know that they can wait until then to ask me questions too. So you don't have to send me 10 emails with one question in it. You're going to talk to me in 4 days. Just, it'll be okay, but I think just managing those expectations in my world helps. I also have a communication structure section in my contract so that they know that, the meetings will be scheduled, that if they need to reach me, they can reach me during these hours. But I find that because of the meeting schedule, most of my clients don't call me in between. They don't. And I had to learn that the hard way over the years because I used to hate it when my phone rang sometimes. I'm like, but I had to manage that. So at one point I had any clients in my phone had a cash register ringtone.
Have we all done that?
It was a long time ago. But it would keep me from being like, oh, what do they have to ask me now? And that's not that I love questions, but just harness them so that it's not, so many at different times. You know what I mean? So just managing that communication from the very beginning so they know what to expect really helps a lot.
Can y'all see what ringtone y'all had? I want to change my ringtone now.
I understand. That's a really good one. Because sometimes you do need to remind yourself why you're doing it. A lot of times we lose sight of why we're doing it and what are we doing this for? Like, what's here? That is really awesome. Okay, so then that brings me to, as we are coming close to our closeout, I want to ask you guys a few more questions. But one thing that I think we've talked a lot about is giving people some strategies and some real insight into what you can do with your contracts, how you can put some boundaries in place. But what is something that you all feel is missing from the creative work conversation, whether in the operations side or, whether it's in the other element of this, like maybe in the creativity side, or maybe it's in the, client expectation side? What's something that you all feel is really missing from the conversation? Or even if you've seen a thought or, a behavior that's coming about that you're like, I think we need to halt that. Anything?
Every creative doesn't have to be a business owner or agency owner. You can be just a contractor and you can just be a worker bee. That's okay if that's your strength. You don't have to go out here and get get your LLC so you don't get taxed. But you don't have to be a business owner. It's okay to be. You don't have to own everything that you don't have to be a business owner, because some people are not operational savvy, and that's okay. It's very hard. It took me a very, very long time to learn operations, and people don't even understand everything that goes into operations. They will go from A to Z and they forget everything in between. Now I'm so used to doing it that I do it without even thinking about it, that my team will tell you, they're like, oh no, you already thought about that because you told us to do X, Y, and Z, so we don't have to do that. I'm like, oh, well, y'all know what to do. Go do it. And that's how you get comfortable in operations. And then sometimes when I'm talking to people, I'm like, oh no, you have to think about this, and this. And then you can just see their face like, oh, wait, I got to do all that. Yes, if you want to run smoothly, if you want your clients not to bother you or call you when the cash register is going off. Yeah, you got to think about all of these things in between. And it's okay if you just want to just get the contracts and just work with somebody else's team and just get paid out. Like, that's okay. You can still make money that way. I know lots of people who just go out and collect the contracts and just contract out. That's fine. So I think that's one thing creators need to think about. Like, you don't have to be a business owner.
Permission to just be a creative. That's good. That's good. Nikita or Jessica?
For me, I would like to bring the conversation about fun back into the conversation. Like, even if you're a business owner, even if you're working with serious clients, if you are a creative professional, it's because you love this work. Not because your mama and them wanted you to do it, or not because society pushed you into it. Most times we've chosen this profession because we love what it is that we do. And I think that when you're in the weeds and everything is stressful, because it does get that way, it's easy to lose the fun in it. So I try to bring that back around as much as possible. Reminding myself to fill my own cup up creatively. Like, what am I doing that doesn't have any money attached to it, that I'm just making something, right? But even with my clients, like I call my client meetings play dates, because I want people to come in and not be like, oh, like, nah, we gonna get this done, but we're also gonna have a good time while we do it, And I find that it just changes their mindset about what they're walking into in the first place. I'm like, we're gonna laugh, we're gonna kiki, but we're gonna get this strategy down pat, and you're gonna be so excited about this and be ready to move forward with your brand and all that stuff. So I think sometimes we lose sight of the fun part of it and the fact that we really love this work.
Yes. So I would agree with what Nakia said about the fun and, making sure you're taking time out to do passion projects for yourself that have nothing to do with your clients, because, that allows you to keep it fun for yourself and also allows you to continuously learn. The creative industry is forever changing. And so you want to make sure that you're keeping up to date with that. And the easiest way to do that is to just, do stuff for yourself sometimes.
I love that. All of these are really, really great answers. What's some advice that you would give? I don't think we're talking today to fresh people that are just getting started. We're talking to people who a little bit further in the journey, but they might be, looking to quit, or they're overwhelmed with the process, or they are overwhelmed with managing the boundaries, the expectations, or just the hustle and bustle of actually building a business. And so what would be some advice that, you three would give to them if they are feeling like they're about to crash out, feeling like they're about to call it quits, feeling like, this isn't working. I'm 7-8 years into this thing. It's not doing what I want it to do. What's some advice you would give to these people?
Crash out. Crash out.
Take a break to crash out. Yeah.
Take the breaks to crash out. Crash out. That's what we're leaving everybody with. The end of our session today is crash out. Crash out. Okay.
Because if you let it all out, then you get a little bit of clarity, right? Like, you're not trying to hold it back anymore, and you can really like ask yourself the hard questions and actually get to the answers instead of just being like, I gotta hold it together. Maybe you don't.
Hey, you know what? Maybe you don't. Jessica, anything you can think of that you'd like to give as some advice?
Things that helped me when it came to structuring the business aspect, there's a lot of resources out there. Because I'm in Houston, so Houston, HCC, Houston Community College, U of H, they have so many resources out there for entrepreneurs and programs that you can be a part of that will help you structure your business plan, structure your business, learning from mentors. Any of those things can really, really help as well with the business aspect.
I am going to chime in as an unex party to say go to therapy. I do believe we should go to therapy, and I am not saying it from a space of we all crazy, but go to therapy because I found that some creative blocks, some of those blocks actually are things that are happening in our personal lives, and they spill over. Also, any limitations that you might have in your personal life can spill over into the business also. So if you're not good at managing money personally, it will show itself in the business. And you might be like, I'm not making any money, I'm not seeing it, but it might be the way that you are managing it or budgeting it. And that is an area that I think is really helpful to really talk to a therapist. Another area is if you're not willing to invest $5,000 or $6,000 or $10,000 into something, it's going to be hard for you to want to pay someone to do that. Or if you need help and you need support, it's going to be hard for you to pay someone to bring on, to join the business with you. Another area that I also see where therapy is super helpful is if you've had trust issues all your life. Well, babes, I'm here. Show up in the business. And so, I got to hold on to this. If you have control issues, it will show up. And so the business is what people talk about, when we talk about marriage. And so it is a mirror. If you do not know yet all the things that you are a little bit, behind on, or the things that you are overcompensating in. I do think going to therapy is definitely a prerequisite for being an incredible business owner, and being able to navigate all of the challenges without letting these things kill you. So
Agreed.
that would be mine.
Yes. Yes.
We did have one question in the chat as we closed out. We are about to close out. So if anyone does have any questions, please let us know. But Jordan did ask, how does a client become your favorite client? Asking because there's a book by the same name. And I'm wondering if you all specifically had written it, what would you add? But I think the best part of this question is, how does someone become a favorite client?
I have a few favorite clients.
She said it publicly too.
I do. But it comes from that level of trust you were just talking about. Like, they trust me and I trust them. So like, I know that even if I have to have a really hard conversation with them about something, that they're not going to immediately assume that I'm just, pulling it out of thin air, or that I don't have their best interest or their business's best interest at heart. So that trust, I think, goes a really, really, really long way. And a client who's willing to push the boundaries a little bit and do something a little bit more creative and not get caught up in like how they've seen every single other person or every single other business do it.
That's really good. Go ahead, Jessica.
No, I would say having those clients, the trust, they trust you to be able to, do what you kind of want to do, and they're going to go with it. That, I think, that to me is one of the best clients, is you get to the point where you have a relationship, and they kind of know you know them. I know what you like, I kind of, know your style. And so there's no real back and forth, you kind of hit it on the first time.
Yeah, I think that's the same thing. I think, especially doing social media management, one of my favorite clients, there was no approval process. It was, all right, I know that content's going to get pushed out. I know the emails are going to get pushed out every month. There was no approval process for graphics or a caption or anything. It was just push it out because I know you're going to do good work and I know the results are going to be there. So once you get that level of trust where y'all basically become friends, family, it's there. And it's just like this, kiki the whole time. That's all you do. It's just kiki. Nothing serious. The work is done and nothing serious anymore. So that's how they.
Nobody's stressed out.
No. Nobody is stressed.
And money is still being made. That cash rush.
Right.
We still got the ka-ching sound in the background. We're still here for it. Okay. Oh my goodness. Nikita, Jessica, and Jazz, you all have been such amazing panelists today. You've been so insightful, so helpful for so many individuals. And I pray that they have received so much from you today. Do you all want to leave anyone with any last words of wisdom? We have about 2 minutes left to close us out, but any last words of wisdom or how people can stay connected with you? Please definitely link them. Jazz, I'll start with you.
Y'all already know what I'm going to say. Crash out.
Crash out.
Crash.
I think that's the final crash out. That's the final
word of wisdom that we leave y'all with. Thank you so much for joining us. Crash out.
Because as Black women, we are not allowed that safe space to crash out. So when I'm allowed to crash out because we are human. We have emotions. We get upset, and it's okay to show that. So crash out. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Jazz. And Jazz can also be found on social as A Whole Lot of Jazz. Nikita, last word of wisdom and how we can stay connected with you.
Last word of wisdom is have some fun. Have some play dates with your clients. I also have meetings with myself once a month where I can just set aside some time to just sit and pontificate about what goals I want to reach or how things are going or whatever. I take myself to my favorite brunch spot. Have a meeting with myself.
You get unlimited or you just get one?
I get to say.
See?
I'm meeting with myself. So, it depends how I'm feeling that day.
I'm just asking, are you a one mimosa or unlimited? That's all.
Oh, mostly personally unlimited.
Okay. That's what I'm talking about, Nikita.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
I don't know if there's any other way.
Okay, great. We're on the same page.
And then everyone can catch up with me at brandingchicks.com.
Yes, love that. Please connect with Nikita at brandingchicks.com. Please bring her unlimited mimosas. All right, Jessica, how about you?
No, my final thing is just be yourself. As a creative, you get caught up in trying to keep up with the Joneses. Just be yourself and stick to your creative process and what works for you.
I love this. And how can people stay connected with you, Jessica?
LinkedIn, Instagram, my website, jcolecreativestudio.com. So yes.
All the things. All right, y'all. And I am closing our conversation out today by saying go Ravens. It's Baltimore against everybody. Always us, never y'all. Okay, I have made this claim in every single opportunity that I get to share. It has been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you guys today. We love you. We hope that we were able to give you something. And if you are interested in connecting with me, I am at Black Women Marketers, and our experience for Marketer Hub is there. Please stay connected with AAMA also for membership, sponsorship, and all types of upcoming events. Again, thank you to the AAMA team for partnering with Black Women Marketers for this conversation, and we hope to see you guys soon. Stay connected, stay active, and stay in marketing. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Hey, that was amazing. That was amazing. So just a few little housekeeping things before we end the live. So again, AAA is powered by you all. I can't even talk, guys. But AAMA is powered by you all. And it's members like you, right? So we can't do anything without you. So if you're not a member yet, we would love you to join. And also for our Black women marketers, please go check them out. They have a lot of things going on. Again, they are international. So there's probably something near you to join. If you are interested in membership, here are our current fees. For professionals, it is $149 a year. For our nonprofit members, it is $99 a year. And for our agencies and small business, it is $249 a year, but that gets you 3 people. We have one more event this month, and this is with our partner, Big Stage Energy. And we're also going to be talking about marketing and sales, but how do you align those, right? And so if you know anything about Big Stage Energy, it is led by 2 very great sales professionals. And so they've been in hot ticket sales for the past decade or 2. I don't want to age them a bit, but we're really excited for you all to join us on March 26th for that event. And again, this has been a great time. Follow us on social media at These Before You, and we'll catch you at the next one.